Hey, what's going on, man? It's your boy Butler, man. Today on this episode of Stay Out of Prison, we're going to Alabama, and I just got caught up, bro, because it looked like that these brothers are trying to stay warm by way of a fire in the day room.
Oh, my brother. Hey, my brother. How y'all doing, dear brother?
Violating our right from deliberate indifference. It's cold up in here. They got coronavirus up in here. They ain't doing shit to help us out. Trying to burn shit to stay warm up in here. They violating our right.
You see the brothers out there. It's cold as hell. Brothers gotta build a fucking fire just to get warm. See what I'm talking about? It's Alabama, motherfucker. No goddamn heat. Think the Free Alabama movement's supposed to sit down and do nothing. Man, we got to goddamn stand up and do something right here, man.
I don't understand, no man. We ain't had no heat in 2 fucking weeks.
If y'all ain't gonna stand up for nothing, then goddamn, this what you gonna have to deal. I'm saying we ain't got no heat in this motherfucker, so we gotta build a fire.
And you see
Ain't talking about we got coronavirus. I'm telling you,
they ain't trying to help us. We ain't get no help around here. The folks that they came in here and told us to put this shit out, bro. Cause you know, they cold too.
and this shit been burning for an hour. Smoke everywhere.
They know.
Burn fire up in that bitch, keep warm up in that bitch. Fuck going on, man. They just put a sign on our door talking about we just level 1 corona or some shit. We trying to figure out what the fuck going on. Everybody holler for help, goddamn help.
Tonight, we're talking about a place most people never see. A place hidden behind fences, razor wire steel doors, and concrete walls. A place where thousands of human beings live every single day. Not hotels, not rehabilitation centers, but prisons. Specifically the prisons of Alabama. Facilities like Bullock Correctional Facility and William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility. A prison that many men who have lived there have given a nickname that tells you something, tells you everything you need to know about the environment. They call it the slaughterhouse. Not because the state named it that, but because of the level of violence that people inside say they experience. And tonight, we're going to talk about what's really happening behind those walls. But first, let's take a dive into what the news is reporting.
An inmate inside an Alabama prison was killed during an assault 1 day before he was scheduled for release. The Escambia County Coroner's Office reports 23-year-old Ian Tyler Reddick was stabbed to death by another incarcerated man. The prison system says Reddick was scheduled to be released on Wednesday. That's after serving an 18-month sentence.
This week, hundreds gathered in Montgomery. They're trying to remember inmates who died in state custody. This ranges all the way from assaults, suicides, as well as drug overdoses. Now, their message, a prison sentence shouldn't be a death sentence. The I-Team Cynthia Gold examines the crisis inside Alabama's overcrowded and understaffed prisons.
Alphega Smith's 30-year-old son was murdered at Donaldson Correctional.
He was violently stabbed to death. The only way we found out about it, while an inmate texted us.
The video posted on Facebook. Amy's brother died of a drug overdose.
It wasn't right, and I want answers.
Answers about the rampant drugs and violence, but she is encouraged by the support of others marching with her.
I think this should make an impact to anybody that has a heart.
There were 266 in-custody deaths last fiscal year, 25 so far in 2023.
We see a prison system in free fall.
Reform advocates urge spending more money on mental health and drug treatment and rehabilitation programs.
It's not working, and we've got to try something new. We would be the safest state in the country if this tough on crime policy was working.
Parole's also grinding to a near halt as violence and overcrowding escalate.
I hear the same complaints, and I think it'll be dealt with during this next session of the legislature.
That should not happen.
The Prison Policy Institute says Alabama locks up a higher percentage of its people than any democracy on earth.
We don't want to send people to prison and then have them come out worse.
Defense attorney Richard Jaffe says prisons have a constitutional duty to protect inmates. He says testimony in court cases he's worked revealed critical staffing shortages.
Just about every inmate has access to or has some type of shank or weapon.
The U.S. Department of Justice's federal lawsuit against the state and Department of Corrections reports Alabama inmates are at a, quote, serious risk of death, physical violence, and sexual abuse at the hands of other prisoners. And security staff frequently use excessive force on prisoners. The state's answer appears to be spending billions of dollars on new prisons. A prison in Elmore County will house 4,000 inmates. It's targeted for completion in 2026. A second facility is planned for Escambia County, but critics say that won't fix all the problems.
Ain't gonna let nobody. This is not right. Somebody needs to be held accountable for this right here.
In theory, prisons serve three purposes: punishment, protection, rehabilitation. The idea is simple. If someone breaks the law, they are moved from society for a period of time. During that time, they are supposed to be held securely. And ideally, they leave prison better prepared to return to society. But what happens when the system itself begins to break down? What happens when prisoners are overcrowded, understaffed, and underfunded? Everybody's overwhelmed. Because when that happens, control begins to shift. And when control shifts, power inside the prison often moves from staff to prisoners.
The Department of Corrections did not answer our interview request. The federal case is set for trial in November of 2024.
Listen, we at Bullock Correctional Facility, man, at E2. Right now, we currently under quarantine for coronavirus. Alright, these windows, it started raining, these windows is leaking. I'm talking about, they closed. The windows is closed. You see they closed. The windows is closed. But you cannot, the whole, open it back up. I mean, close it back up. But the seal around them ain't no seal around them. Alright, look at this right here. The building is falling down. It's dilapidated, man. It's over with, man. I'm talking about the walls. Look at the walls. The walls ain't even together. The cement got 2-3 inches in between. You understand what I'm saying? Now we finna go show y'all these holes up here in this shower area. We finna show you the holes in the floor in the shower area. You can't take a shower without breaking your neck. You feel me? Look at the water everywhere. All of the windows is leaking. All of them. Water everywhere. We swimming in here. Hey, watch out. Move that out the way so we can show that hole. Move that out the way so we can show that hole. Holes, big holes in the floor. Big holes everywhere. Look at that, hole. You feel what I'm saying? You'll break your neck in here. You're trying to bathe and you step in one of these potholes in the shower and twist your ankle. I'm walking sideways right now. You understand what I'm saying? We got one sink working out of all the sinks in here. We got coronavirus, we're on quarantine, but only one sink work. There ain't even no buttons on that thing, man. It don't work. Nothing coming out, man. Nothing coming out. Nothing.
Watching this video of a William E. Donaldson prison inmate wearing a correction officer's vest and waving a gun with other inmates in the same room.
They could have easily 10, 15 people with that gun. It looked like to me he was trying to get a message out.
Alabama Department of Corrections says Darrell Shaw is charged with promoting prison contraband, possessing contraband certain people aren't allowed to have, and terroristic threats. In a 22-minute video, that same man goes on a rant about issues inmates in the Donaldson prison are dealing with.
They create the conditions so that we die.
George suggests state leaders hire retired officers, pay them very well to help with the staffing issues.
Right now, live at 5, the Alabama Department of Corrections says the Donaldson Correctional Facility is back to somewhat normalcy with what they were calling a controlled movement.
Now, that lockdown, of course, as you know, put in place after an incident on Sunday morning. This video surfacing yesterday on social media appears to show an inmate wearing a staff uniform.
The county's coroner office says LaShawn White was found unresponsive in his cell on Monday. He was taken to that facility's infirmary where he was pronounced dead.
Red-handed, a Department of Corrections officer admits to smuggling contraband, including drugs and cell phones, inside an Alabama prison after getting cold hard cash from inmates in exchange.
That former officer worked down at Donaldson Correctional Facility.
That former officer, William Clemens, encountered an unexpected checkpoint set up outside the prison there. Court documents paint the picture from there. A canine found cell phones, pot, scales, cigars, and Xanax. And another former ADOC veteran officer telling me the contraband problem, it's everywhere inside these critically understaffed facilities. Wilson Clemens used a Cash App account to accept thousands of dollars in bribe payments using a display name, Mario Lopez. And the inmate on the other end saved Clemens' name in his phone as Granddaddy Otis. For months, they worked out what the inmates needed and how they'd get it inside before Clemens got caught.
Authorities say a Donaldson inmate was... Authorities say 33-year-old Cedric Watts was stabbed Sunday morning inside the prison.
Worker at Donaldson Correctional Facility is behind bars for allegedly trying to bring in contraband.
The Alabama Department of Corrections says that an officer is recovering after being stabbed at the William Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer. That happened around midnight during a search of an inmate's cell. Officials say the officer found contraband and was stabbed while questioning 32-year-old Sean Baker. Officer has a head wound and defensive wounds.
Serving a life sentence on a Madison County murder conviction is dead. The Alabama Department of Corrections confirms Joseph Mitchell was found unresponsive in his dormitory at Donaldson Correctional Facility in Bessemer.
Located in Bessemer. Caught red-handed, a Department of Corrections officer admits to smuggling contraband, including drugs and cell phones.
One of the biggest problems in Alabama prisons is overcrowding. Some prisons hold far more people than they were designed to hold. Imagine a building built for 1,000 men, holding nearly twice that. Imagine dormitories packed with bunks, men sleeping inches from each other. Noise, tension, arguments, frustration. Now add another problem. Not enough officers. Because when a prison has too many prisoners and not enough staff, supervision disappears. And when supervision disappears, order disappears. Investigations have found that in some Alabama prisons, housing units can go long periods without minimal staff presence. That means hundreds of men in a confined space with little oversight. And when that happens, the prison culture begins to change. Where there is vacuum of authority, something always fills it. Inside many prisons, that something becomes gangs. Prison gangs create their own structure, their own rules, their own hierarchy, their own economy, and sometimes their own violence. Gangs control who sleeps where, who pays debts, who gets protection, and in some cases, the police help them.
Inside an Alabama prison after getting cold hard cash from inmates in exchange.
Way 31's Matt Kroschel joins us in studio now. And Matt, that former officer worked down at Donaldson Correctional Facility, but your ADOC source says this is happening system-wide, and they just happened to catch this guy.
Marie, late last year, that former officer, William Clemens, encountered an unexpected checkpoint set up outside the prison there. Court documents paint the picture from there. A canine found cell phones, pot, scales, cigars, and Xanax. And another former ADOC veteran officer telling me the contraband problem, it's everywhere inside these critically understaffed facilities. Wilson Clemens used a Cash App account to accept thousands of dollars in bribe payments using a display name, Mario Lopez. And the inmate on the other end saved Clemens' name in his phone as Granddaddy Otis. For months, they worked out what the inmates needed and how they'd get it inside before Clemens got caught. After a 13-year career with ADOC, former Limestone Correctional Facility officer Stacy George told me just this week the contraband problem continues to plague these critically understaffed prisons, and that he suspects there are many more employees trying to make an extra buck bringing stuff into these closed-off prisons.
Yeah, there's a lot of weapons in there, a lot of drugs. It's a sad situation.
Clemens faces several years in prison on the other side of those bars and thousands in fines under the plea deal before him in federal court. Now, Clemens hasn't been sentenced by the courts just yet, but he did resign from his job. As for ADOC, they won't talk about security operations inside, but sources there telling me specialized operation teams that travel around the state continue to work surprise searches of staff and inmates, finding everything from dangerous weapons to drugs, and of course, cell phones.
Correctional officers face enormous challenges too. Many are overworked, broke, and want to sell dope. A lot of them are forced to work long overtime shifts. Some prisoners operate with huge numbers, field officer positions. That means field officers watching more prisoners. That's a dangerous equation because correctional officers are supposed to maintain safety. But when the numbers are stacked against them, the system becomes unstable. Behind every statistic is a human being, folks. A prisoner, an officer, a family member waiting outside. Violence inside prison doesn't stay inside the prison because most prisoners eventually come home. And when people spend years in environments filled with fear, violence, and trauma, those experiences follow them back into society. So the question becomes, are prisoners making communities safer or more broken? Think about it. The responsibility of the United States government is to improve, is to protect, is to secure. But when you create environments, when you create these hubs, these fucking cesspools of horrific, unlawful acts, you breed a different kind of energy. And then you eventually release some of this negative energy back into the world, thus regurgitating that process, thus keeping that jail filled, thus guaranteeing millions of individuals job security, such as lawyers and judges and police officers, the morgue, the way of life for America as we see it. I thought it was just Georgia, but unfortunately, it's Alabama. This is one of our first stories that comes out of Alabama. I think it's maybe the second actual story, but we're going to dive a little deeper. We're going to dive a little deeper because there seems to be an ongoing similarities throughout these southern states. And I say Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. Short of staff, overcrowding, gang movement, a lot of drugs, a lot of unfortunate deaths. It seems as if they've written off African American men and white men with drug addicts, or men with drug habits. You guys get in the comment section, let me know what you think.